This is the Costco hack to get really good quality steaks. We ended up getting our steak for about $10 a pound, and we got a little over 16 pounds of it, so we paid $164. This is really good quality meat. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to drain your package. We like to do this over the sink because it really is a bloody mess, and it's really gross. We're not showing all of it here on how much blood there is in the package. I think you get the gist. We like to cut this whole loin in half because working with the whole thing is very difficult. You could cut it smaller, like in thirds or fourths, if that's easier to work with, because the next thing that we're going to do is cut off the fat cap, and it's really pretty difficult to do if you're working with a huge piece of meat. This one has a pretty thick fat cap on it, and here you can see he's just turning it around and cutting it off. This is my husband, by the way. And as you can see, some of the meat is still left on the fat. If you want some of the fat left on, you can just make your trimming a little bit more shallow. We save our fat because my husband enjoys to eat the fat. So the little bit of meat on there just makes it all the better for him. He's having fun. This is just trimming off all of the excess that wasn't cut off in the first round. So here we are actually cutting them into the steaks. We don't measure them, we just kind of eyeball it. So it's probably about 3/4 of an inch to an inch thickness on our steaks. Some of the shapes end up a little wonky just because of how the fat cap was trimmed off. So now my husband is going to cube the excess fat because he's going to freeze it and save it for a later day. He does enjoy eating that. The knife got a little dull, so he had to resharpen it. And now it's much easier for him to cut the fat. The fat is definitely the hardest part to handle. Here is all of the steak that we got from both halves. The marbling on it is just beautiful. These are New York strips, so they are a pricier cut of meat. And then here is our bowl of fat. So we got 3 bags of fat and 10 bags of the steaks with 2 steaks in each bag. So 20 steaks out of that whole thing. Each bag came to around a pound, give or take. We were not super precise in our cutting. If you wanted to be more precise, I'm sure you could do that, but we're not too concerned about that. So each steak was about 1/2 pound. And then here's the beef fat. We got 3 bags of these, around a pound each. This is how we like to prep our meat to cook it. We put it on a rack over the sink so that anything can just drip down. And here you can see I'm patting it off with just a paper towel or a napkin just to get off some of that excess moisture. And you do that to both sides because in the next step you're going to salt it. And if you salt it while it's still wet, some of the salt tends to just slip off. So now you're going to salt it very liberally. This will help to release some of the juice, and it really ends up getting it a nice, good, juicy steak. And you do this to both sides. It's really not over salted at all. In fact, when my husband goes to cook the steak, on my steak, he actually salts another side of it again while it's on the pan. I like to cover it just because I have a cat. Here is what my dinner typically looks like. I will have a steak with a side of broccoli, and it is really, really filling, especially as you're on a GLP-1. It is plenty of food, good protein, good fiber. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this helps.